So myself, other managers and operators were jumping on fork trucks and pulling bales of peat moss that were on fire out of the facility and dumping it on a field so a bucket loader could smother it. And I'll never
Oh,
forget, it was March 8th. It was Saturday. It was probably like 36 degrees out. I have a hoodie on. I'm picking up a pallet of peat moss that's on fire, and I'm standing there going like this, warming up while I dump this peat moss.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Kaloutas, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier.
welcome back to Facility Rockstars. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. And today's journey for you flower lovers out there is going to not only talk about facilities and maintenance, but hardy mums in June and poinsettias in July. I'll leave that there for a minute and we'll get into it later. So today's guest is a proven leader in the manufacturing space with a strong track record of driving results across safety, maintenance, production, and quality. With years of hands-on experience leading high-performing teams, he knows what it takes to keep complex operations running smoothly and continuously improving. He currently manages a skilled team of mechanics and electricians overseeing maintenance plans for critical systems while working cross-functionally with departments and stakeholders to ensure alignment and efficiency. His expertise in process improvement and production optimization has helped boost performance on multiple fronts. But what truly sets him apart is his passion for team development. He's committed to growing talent, fostering a culture of learning and collaboration, and making sure every member of his team is aligned with the bigger picture. He is the maintenance manager at Grower Direct Farms, Mark Netherton. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks for investing your time and being here with us today. So, I did tease out the mums and the poinsettias. We can get to that. But before we do, with all of your experience, you've had a lot of different roles over the years in your career. What has been your biggest lesson learned, Mark?
Oh man, I would definitely say being patient. Uh, in the places that I've worked, there mainly have been around manufacturing, dairy manufacturing, chemical manufacturing, and even here in a nursery or a greenhouse, we're producing plants. We have production lines. Priorities change every minute of every day. We often joke in my maintenance shop when people ask about an issue. I'm like, oh, that was 5 problems ago. We're way beyond that. Having patience to understand that things break and priorities shift and being able to understand when a shift happens and what's the new priority. By far, definitely patient. And with that comes being proactive. It's so critical to have a strong PM schedule, to have a good work order system, to have a good maintenance software system where you're tracking and you're assigning work and people are following up and leaving notes. And I would say finally would be documenting. Document everything when it comes to work orders, PMs, notes. We just had some piece of equipment service and I got the service reports. We attach the service reports right to the asset. Um, Definitely the three biggest thing with everything in maintenance.
Outstanding. I definitely want to, let's go back to a couple of points you made there.
Yeah.
You mentioned having a strong PM schedule is important, and absolutely it is critical, right? But what gets in the way of that? When does that become secondary, and what could cause that to happen? Or how do you keep it forefront is really what I'm asking.
It's those damn production people. It's always scheduling your PMs around your production schedule, around your growing schedule. You can only PM when they're not running or when it's convenient for them. That's definitely the biggest obstacle. We always try to break things down. Where I am now, we currently break it into 3 levels. Level 1 being very visual, very basic. We're doing that weekly, going through and just doing a visual check, monitoring, making notes of things. And then as things break, we follow up with a reactive work order. And then we'll meet with, say, the production manager or the lead grower, and we say, this is an issue. It's minor now, but if we get to it in the next week or so, we can prevent it before it becomes something major. And then we go into a level 2, which is a little bit more mechanical, doing inspections, having the piece of equipment down. And then finally a level 3, which would be like a major rebuild. And those you obviously have to schedule, but creating a strong visual PM base and then building up from there.
Outstanding. So you mentioned your history too. Chemical manufacturing, now you're in a nursery or grow area. Are there key differences between those other than the product that's being produced? Like what, trying to bridge industries here, because we talk to a lot of different industry people. Any comparisons, any differences that are notable?
Yeah. So when I was at Easton Chemical, where my office was, we dealt with resin that goes in the car windshield. I'll never forget this. There was a chemical tank outside my office, literally 10 feet away, my first 3 or 4 months there, and there was a leaking flange. And I'm like, okay, let's grab some wrenches and let's tighten some nuts and bolts. And immediately stopped. And they were like, oh, no, Mark, that is I think it was like vinyl acetate. And they're like, this chemical, the drip that is coming from the flange is highly cancerous and highly flammable. We need to section off a 20-foot area. We need to get the EMT team down. We need to get a fire truck. Someone needs to man up, put a man suit on, and we need to tighten things one hand at a time. We obviously don't have that here. I would say definitely the biggest difference. But definitely the urgency. The urgency is still there, whether you're dealing with a highly cancerous, highly flammable chemical, or a greenhouse full of mums that aren't getting any water and are in direct sunlight. Those things are critical. Those things will kill the entire greenhouse. And the greenhouse is an acre of land, and they're spaced about 3 inches apart. So if you lose an acre, you're talking about 10 to maybe 50,000 plants, which are dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. And can we tie that back to the PM program and why it's so critical?
Yeah, absolutely. Going through the greenhouse and doing your very basic visual checks where you have a valve that's dripping, not PMing it or not catching it right away, where then that valve fails and you potentially have no water flowing to 1 or 2 greenhouses, catastrophic.
Mark, you've mentioned in previous conversations about creating, an environment to develop people who are happy and fulfilled. What do you really mean by that?
I tell all the guys that I work with, I tell this to my friends, I tell this to my wife, I tell this to everybody. It doesn't matter what you do in life. It doesn't matter if you have a very physical job, if you sit in an office. At the end of the day, when you go home, do you get a sense of fulfillment? Do you have joy from what you do? And I feel like that is so, so incredibly important. I understand that everybody has aspects of their job that they don't like, things that are tough. And there are days where I'm pushing a broom or I'm taking out trash or I'm doing things that are tedious and paperwork, mounds of paperwork that I'm like, man, this is so boring, but they're essential to the job. And when I go home at the end of the day, I can say, wow, I built this. Wow, I helped my crew. Wow, I did these things. If you don't get that sense of joy and fulfillment from your job, and I don't care what you're doing, whether you're a neurosurgeon or you're a sanitation guy or you're a teacher, you don't get that sense of fulfillment, then you're in the wrong industry.
I love that. And you feel like your team has that when they arrive and when they leave at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think as long as you enjoy what you do, there are always things that you can tweak in the day to day to steer that way. We do a lot of visual PMs, like I talked about. Every week, you're going through and you're doing visual checks. And if you're doing a visual check every single week on the same piece of equipment, it can be very tedious.
Mhm.
So we try to break it up. Maybe you do an hour a day and you do your visual checks, and then the rest of your day, you're doing your other reactive things. We try to plan big projects. We try to de-group things. That way, you're not only doing that one boring thing where you don't get that sense of fulfillment and happiness.
Mm. It's great. It's great. We've got a lot of things we previously talked about, so I want to kind of jump right through and we can always bounce back. But setting clear expectations and having honest and open communication with people was a topic you brought up, and I'd love to discuss that more too.
Yeah. So I actually onboarded somebody this past week. And one of the first things that I do whenever I hire anybody, obviously you go through the interview process, you ask them some questions, you explain the role and things that happen. But once you actually find the right candidate, you sit them, they're hired, and then it's their first day on the job. The first thing I do when I pull them in my office is I'm like, hey, there's a couple of things that you have to understand about me that are important to me, how I run my team, and things that you can expect from me. And then I'm just set very clear, open, and honest expectations. The first one for me is always honesty and integrity. And then the second thing is being a team player. And I say this to everybody, and I think most people would agree with me, but it'll be interesting. I will always pick a person who has less skill, but has an incredible attitude and other characteristics of working with people than I would pick over a highly skilled individual any day, every day, twice on Sunday. And I tell them that it is one of the most important things to me. It goes honesty, integrity, and then character right underneath it.
Mm, I do agree with you, and it's like skills can be taught, right? Who
Yeah.
you
Oh
are,
yeah.
that's not really. You can grow, of course.
Yes.
Good, great point you're making. And so
Yeah.
you're doing that in your. So I like what you sort of jump back to the onboarding process. You know what they can expect from you. That's really important, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. It's a new person either reporting to or a colleague you're working with. Either way, what can they expect? That's wonderful. You talked about giving technicians ownership. What do you mean by that?
So I know it's not you can't do it everywhere, but I think you can make certain parts of it with ownership. So what we do here is we're a 50-acre indoor greenhouse. So instead of having work orders come in throughout the entire greenhouse and then they're given out randomly, we say, okay, this is your area. This is your zone. You have complete ownership of this zone. Any PMs, any work orders, anything reactive, it's your area. You own it. If you're having a hard time and you're falling behind and you need help, then it's your responsibility to work with me, to work with the other technicians and get that going. And I'll always be there to support you. And I can tell when you're having issues. I track PMs and work orders, but by telling somebody, hey, you're responsible for this area, you have control over this area. When work orders come in, it's your responsibility to manage it and to work and to get it completed. And obviously, we work together. And as work orders come in, if it's a high priority and at first is a low priority, then we're shifting and we're doing that work. But when you then talk to another technician and we talk about somebody and we say, wow, that person, it seems like they're having an easy time. Well, they own that zone. They take the time to do their PMs. They take the time to work on the little things and they have less reactive stuff and they own that area. And that is so important. The amount of pride that you can give to somebody by saying, this is yours, it's on you, buddy. They love it. And it's something new that I've learned here. And I think it's incredible. I don't know why we don't do it everywhere. I know you can't always, but I think there are aspects of it where you can do that.
What I like most is I'm going to boldly build a bridge here, and giving that ownership ties back to your other point about happy and fulfilled at the end of the day about what you're doing. I think that's what I'm hearing from you here.
Yeah, it also builds relationships between the technician and then the production side or the growing side. So if I say that you own this area, then you're going to want to talk to the people who work in that area. They're the people who work on the pieces of equipment or in the area. So when they see something, they're going to put in a work order, but they also know that that's your responsibility. So it encourages conversation. And it's
Mm.
right there on the work order who put the work order in. So it's easy to build that relationship because on the growing and on the production side, there's that ownership. Hey, I own the plants in this area. I want them to thrive. If these plants die, it's my name. I'm having an issue. So when something breaks, I want it fixed right away. So I know that this technician, this is his area. He's going to have the same sense of pride in these plants that I do.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's very, very important, Mark, because I've seen over the years, and maybe you could speak to this, if there isn't that level of ownership of an area or responsibility, then, it's easy to say that no one owns it, but sometimes that feels like the case. Like if you send an email out to 6 people, but didn't give clear call to action, right? Well, who owns the response? So I love
Yeah.
what you're talking about here.
Yeah, the other issue you run into, and when I worked previously and you had a production room, you have technicians, you work 3 shifts, you run 7 days a week. There are less skilled and there are highly skilled technicians. If everybody's working on it, but I'm on first shift and somebody's on second shift, I can say, well, that the person on second shift knows more than me, so I'm just going to pass it off to him. But
Mm.
if you own that piece of equipment and it's your responsibility, you might pass it off, but now you're responsible for the next time. So you want to build that relationship with that second shift technician so that you can learn it so that it's better for you the next time because that person's not always going to be there. It's less so on the manager or supervisor and it's more so on the technician.
Hey, rock stars. If you're tuning into the podcast and are feeling overwhelmed by all the maintenance demands at your facility, don't stress. We've got you covered. Our sponsor, Kaloutas, is your go-to partner to help you tackle all those demands and get them done right, on time, and with top-notch quality. From project planning to execution, Kaloutas is there to make hard work easy. Visit kaloutas.com today to get started.
Yeah, you're saying a lot. You've used the word learn and grow, or at least learn several times. I think that's fantastic. That shows a growth mindset, right? An open mind, and what could that first shift person learn from the second shift person,
Yeah,
right? And grow from
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
We talked briefly about safety and building a culture of safety, and I know you've tuned into the show. Anyone listening, we talk about safety a lot on the show because it's important.
Yeah.
So if you could expand on your experience and talk about that a bit more, please.
Absolutely. So again, the example at Eastman with that chemical line, being new and walking into the facility and saying, yeah, let's just grab some wrenches and tighten this flange up. And somebody stopping me and saying, no, we need to really, this is a very dangerous chemical. At my previous company, we talked about being a safe keeper and you would give out safe keeper awards. It was an incredible program. It's about being safe for yourself, but then being safe for others. There's a safe person and then there's a safe conscious person. And a safe conscious person not only thinks about themselves, but thinks about others. You're being the keeper of everybody around you, and you want everybody to come in and go home the same way. It was an incredible program. I've started some stuff here. Being a smaller company, we don't have as many resources. But just having the conversation, just talking about it and building that culture is so important. It doesn't matter if you work at a nursery or a farm or if you're in a huge billion-dollar company. Just simply talking about it and bringing it up and encouraging other people to talk about it
Mm-hmm.
is where you start.
Did I catch it? You said there's a safe person and a safe keeper.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Sounds like it's raising awareness too of everybody.
Yes. Yes. And it's good because you can say you're a safe person, but I'm a safe keeper because
Mhm.
you're keeping yourself safe where I'm keeping everybody safe. I'm paying attention to what everybody's doing so that we all leave at the same time.
Fantastic. Now, And is there a safety manager or EH&S person on site, or is it everyone's responsible? Like, how does that work in your world?
Here it's everybody. We have a safety team and it incorporates people from every department. We come together, we talk about different challenges, different things that we should look at in the future. We have conversations about it. And then when somebody identifies a problem, we all come at it as a group.
Outstanding. All right, I'll throw a curveball at you. What's the most challenging situation you and your team have faced over the years?
Oh man, that's kind of easy. It's definitely been more recent. So I started at Grower Direct Farms in August. In March 7th, we actually had a devastating fire. It affected about 30% of our facility. It was a Friday night. I'll never forget it. I immediately started getting alerts on my phone from our building management system, thinking, wow, what is going on? All these alarms on Friday night. And yeah, we had a massive fire affected, again, 30% of our facility. We were lucky in some aspects that it didn't actually go into crop areas. But on the other hand, it affected every supporting department to our greenhouse. We lost our shipping, our receiving, our maintenance, our boiler room, both production rooms, our offices, our break area. Friday, we were fully functioning business. And on Saturday, we didn't have a single computer, not a single cell phone. Every bit of technology was gone. It was by far the most challenging, and we're still going through it, but it was the most challenging 48 hours, 72 hours. Yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine. My God.
Yeah.
So what did you do to get through it? If you walk us through.
So it was like I said, it was an incredible weekend. I got a call, I got an alert at about 7:30 at night. Where we're located is a smaller town. We had 30 fire trucks, 7 different towns around us. Not enough water. We have a pond on site. They ended up pumping out the pond. The fire went through the night. They were able to get most of it out through the morning. I'll never forget coming in Saturday morning at about 6:30 in the morning, and we have giant bales of peat moss, which we use for our dirt, and it's mixed with fertilizer. And they were pulling these bales of peat moss out of the building, and there wasn't enough people. So myself, other managers and operators were jumping on fork trucks and pulling bales of peat moss that were on fire out of the facility and dumping it on a field so a bucket loader could smother it. And I'll never forget, it was March 8th. It was Saturday. It was probably like 36 degrees out. I have a hoodie on. I'm picking up a pallet of peat moss that's on fire, and I'm standing there going like this, warming up while I dump this peat moss, and
One
we
silver lining.
smother it. Yeah, it was incredible. I will say I have never been more proud of my team, but of everybody at the company. We had the fire Friday night. By Sunday night, we had power, we had water, and we had air back on to almost the entire facility. It was incredible.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Don't get me wrong. I worked 20-hour days. All of us did. And the owner of the company next to me crawling through dirt and mud, trying to get things going, working through the night in order to get the facility back up and running. It was incredible. Yeah.
Well, that speaks to the teamwork.
Yeah.
Big time. So is there anything that you could have at this point that you have actually put in place that would hedge against this in the future?
So we never were able to determine the root cause of the fire. The facility where the fire had happened is an older area. There's a number of things that could have started. We are unique in how we heat our facility. We use biomass boilers, so we actually heat wood chips, like a wood burning stove, to heat our facility. The fire started in this area. So obviously, if you have a giant hill full of dry wood ready to burn, it's a great fuel. And putting it out is incredibly difficult. We have lots of monitoring systems for stuff like this. It just was a perfect storm where Friday at 7:30, nobody is on site, nobody's there to monitor, and it just took off.
Mm. Well, it's they say, it's how you handle things. Things will happen. It's how you handle them.
Yeah,
Thankfully, it doesn't sound like anyone was hurt.
yeah, thank God.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
I feel the need to thank you for sharing that experience with us
yeah.
too. It had to be traumatic.
Oh, yeah,
Um, I feel the need to explain the mums and the poinsettias because when we first spoke, you said I wonder sometimes when do they start growing this stuff? So can you explain what I meant by mums in June and poinsettias in July?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we start growing mums in June for Thanksgiving. It's very strange. It's August right now, and we're getting ready to ship out mums. I'm like, so Thanksgiving is tomorrow. This is very strange. And in July, we start growing poinsettias for Christmas. So again, in September, I'm seeing red poinsettias everywhere. I'm like, oh God, I got to get going on my Christmas shopping. Any second now. Yes, we are always a season ahead. Even in March, we have tulips going. We have all the spring stuff going. It's very strange to walk around and be like, wow, this place is beautiful. It's got to be sunny outside. You walk outside and it's 40 degrees.
I haven't physically been to the facility yet. I can't wait to get there and put my eyes on this 50 acres of growing. It's got to be
Yeah.
what a sight.
Yes. So we are the largest greenhouse in New England. We supply flowers and vegetables to everywhere in New England, all the way from Maine, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, everywhere.
Impressive. So do you like the grow space?
Yes, it is. It is massive. You could stand at one point and just see for miles. It is really beautiful too, especially in the fall when you see poinsettias and they're red. All you see is a sea of red. It is really beautiful.
That's awesome. Mark, what advice would you give someone if you were to give advice to someone in a role that's either the same or similar to yours? What advice would that be?
Patience, definitely being patient. There's a saying, and I'm gonna butcher it, but it's along the lines of God give me the serenity to know changes that I can, the understanding when I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I would say that to anybody. There are things that you can control, and there are things that you can't control. And being patient and knowing what you can work on and what you can't work on, or when you can, is obviously so difficult. I'm sure every maintenance manager or every maintenance technician will know the struggle when a piece of equipment is struggling, and you're saying this needs to be worked on, this needs to be worked on, and you have production or somebody on the other side saying, no, we need this to run. We need this piece of equipment. It makes us money. We can't afford the downtime. It's tough. It can be very difficult. It can be very discouraging. But be patient.
I like how you tied that right back to the beginning of our conversation too. Clearly, it's a very strong thread in the way you think and behave. So it's great. Good advice. So we've learned quite a bit from you today. I think I know you're the first maintenance manager from a grow facility like this who has been on the show. So it's a great new element to the show. Appreciate the knowledge you shared with us, Mark.
Yeah, not at all. I remember a year ago when I was at the chemical plant and they had reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to be a maintenance manager at a greenhouse." And I was like, I mean, come on. What is there to maintain? Some water hoses, some plants. I'm like, come on, this isn't a real thing. And I remember walking through the facility and seeing 50 acres of irrigation, 50 acres of greenhouse. Incredible. The amount of work that happens in a single area is incredible. And it's cool to be at a greenhouse and look around and think, oh, I saw that at the chemical manufacturing plant. And oh, I saw this in the food manufacturing plant that I work. It really is full scope, and it is cool to look at how growing a plant is the same as running a chemical through a line.
Yeah, this is very eye-opening for me. I mean, it's great you're coming back to that industry question we talked about, right? Like, what are the differences, similarities, and you just kind of bridge that right together.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. We learned a ton, but now we learned a lot from you. We want to learn a little bit about you before we let you go here, Mark. So what makes you tick outside of work? What do you enjoy? Yeah, what would you like to share with us?
Oh man, that's easy. It's my family. Oh, it drives me 100%. You know, you get that sense of satisfaction, that happiness, that fulfillment from work. And I just go home and I'm married and we have a beautiful daughter. It's to teach her all the things that I can so she can grow up better than I did, that my wife did, and to just be that family person. Anything to be at home. We love playing board games. We love playing cards. It is really funny. Everybody in my family, they always say it doesn't matter who wins as long as it's not Mark. I am not a gracious loser, and I'm an even worse winner. I will admit it.
So you gloat and you pout is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
All right, what's the favorite board game for the family?
Oh man, right now we're on a big Skippo. Have you ever played Skippo before?
I think I know what you mean, but please explain.
It's similar to like an Uno. You have a shared deck of cards, you have a set of hands, and the goal of the game is to get rid of your deck before everybody else does. And you play off of shared piles. So we play a lot of Skippo. We play a lot of Uno. Yeah, it's a fun time.
It sounds like you're through and through a family man. Good for you, Mark. I agree. There's nothing more rewarding.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing everything you did. How would people get in touch with you? Because I'm sure people will want to reach out with some of the topics you shared today. What's the best way to reach out and connect with you?
I would definitely say email me. My email is very simple. It's manetherton@gmail.com.
Okay. Excellent. We can put that in the show notes too.
Perfect. Yeah,
Awesome.
I would love to hear from people. I love to talk more about that. I think building the perfect team and getting your people to learn and grow as much as you can makes everything else much easier. And I encourage everybody to do it.
Great stuff. Mark, thank you again for being on the show, taking the time and sharing with us. Really, really appreciate it, man.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And for everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. If you learned something, if you laughed, tell someone else about the show. And you can follow us on just about anywhere you get your podcast. Another great show of Facility Rockstars, and we will catch everyone next time.
It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Kaloutas, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.